Welcome back to Environmental News, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm Stacy Savage, aka the Texas Trash Talker, founder and CEO of Zero Waste Strategies. Each week, I pull together 3 stories that matter to people working in zero waste, circular systems, and food waste solutions. In this episode, we'll take a look at a promising expansion of reuse and refill systems, a policy trend pushing food waste to energy with important trade-offs, and a controversial subsidy or credit decision that risks locking in polluting infrastructure. I'll explain what happened, who benefits, who's left out, and 3 practical steps that you can take this week. This week's good story is about reuse and refill scaling up in U.S. cities and retail. A low-tech, high-impact approach that is finally getting policy and business attention. Several cities and independent retailers are expanding refill storefronts and reusable take-back programs, and research continues to show significant waste reductions and attractive payback periods for reusable containers. Local permit adjustments and pilot programs have smoothed the way for refill shops to operate in more jurisdictions, and some chains are piloting reusable takeout systems tied to digital tracking and deposit returns. Reuse matters because it prevents packaging from entering the waste stream at the source. It reduces lifecycle impacts and lowers municipal collection burdens. For small businesses, reuse can cut purchasing costs and strengthen customer loyalty while meeting corporate sustainability goals. Benefits include consumers who generate less ongoing packaging waste, retailers who save money and build brand value, and municipalities that see reduced contamination and curbside tonnage. Those who could be left out are communities without refill infrastructure, low-income customers if deposit systems are not designed equitably, and producers of complex multi-layer packaging who face disruption. So advocates should push for local pilot permits and data sharing agreements so outcomes are measurable. Municipal staff can add reusable system metrics to zero waste plans such as container returns per capita and refills per month. And businesses should run short-term refill pilots, track container lifespan and customer retention, and publicize those results. And now for the bad. Our story is a policy trend giving momentum to food waste to energy projects like anaerobic digestion and biogas. This can be useful, but it also hides serious trade-offs. Recent funding and incentives at state and federal levels are accelerating deployment of anaerobic digestion and other energy recovery facilities. But some funding streams appear to prioritize energy recovery over upstream reduction, redistribution, and prevention. Anaerobic digestion can convert unavoidable food waste into renewable energy and useful soil amendments when designed well, helping decarbonize portions of the waste stream. However, these facilities can lock in centralized infrastructure, generate transport-related emissions if feedstocks are hauled long distances, and reduce incentives to prioritize reduction and donation. So who does this benefit? Utilities and developers that get new projects and revenue streams, municipalities that can show diversion tonnage, and operators that capture biogas for heat and electricity. So, who's left out in this process? Think food banks and redistribution networks when edible food is diverted to energy. Rural residents who may face increased truck traffic, and even upstream actors who need stronger incentives to reduce their surplus. Policymakers should adopt hierarchy-first language that explicitly prioritizes reduction and donation before energy recovery and require local impact assessments for new anaerobic digester projects. Municipal planners should also insist on transparent feedstock sourcing, local composting and redistribution targets, and emissions tracking for hauled materials. And local community advocates should push for funding that reserves a defined share for redistribution and ensures contracts favor local-scale composting. And finally, this week's ugly story concerns decisions to award low-cost carbon allowances or subsidies to waste-to-energy and incineration facilities. This is a choice that can distort climate priorities and extend polluting infrastructure. Some state programs and market mechanisms have provided no-cost or low-cost carbon allowances or other subsidies to waste-to-energy operations. This effectively lowers the operating costs of certain incinerators and combustion facilities. While these moves are often justified as preserving local jobs or keeping energy generation capacity, they can undermine zero-waste transitions by creating perverse incentives to continue generating mixed waste rather than investing in prevention, reuse, recycling, and local composting. The climate and public health picture is complex. Combustion emits CO2 or carbon dioxide and other pollutants, and lifecycle accounting must weigh avoided landfill methane, energy offsets, and local air quality impacts. Beneficiaries include facility operators, power purchasers, and sometimes local governments that postpone closure costs. Unfortunately, the nearby communities exposed to persistent emissions, recycling and reuse businesses that lose market signals, and long-term climate goals that require absolute waste reductions are impacted. So what do? Well, local governments can pivot subsidy and credit programs toward circular investments, such as reuse infrastructure, local composting, recycling modernization, and programs that demonstrably reduce tonnage at the curb. They can also require transparent life cycle analyses and conditional funding tied to clear, near-term reduction targets and community health protections before awarding any credits to combustion-based facilities. Now, we talk a lot about waste as if it's just a disposal problem, but the very real story is bigger than just trash. Every refill station that's been opened, every edible pound of food that's been redirected from landfill, every composting program that's been expanded for community benefit, and every bad incentive that's been challenged is a step forward toward a system that wastes less, costs less, and serves people better. The future of zero waste is not about perfection. It's about choosing infrastructure, policy, and business models that make the better choice the easier choice. That's why these stories matter, because they show us where the system is shifting, where it's still stuck, and where we need to push a little harder. If we want cleaner communities, stronger local economies, and smarter climate action, we have to keep showing up for the policies and programs and people that prevent waste before it starts. I'm Stacy Savage, aka the Texas Trash Talker. Until next week, this is environmental news, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Bye.